This is a demo of a SYN flood. A SYN flood is a type of attack used in distributed denial of service attacks. And what it does is exploits the good nature of the TCP three-way handshake. And what do I mean by that? I mean that the SYN datagram is sent to the server and there's the element of good faith here is that the server is exchanging sequence numbers with the client. And so it takes the client's sequence number that it gets in the SYN packet and it adds one to it, and it acknowledges that and sends it back with its own initial sequence number in a SYN datagram, and it sends this back to the client with the SYN ACK of the TCP three-way handshake. Well, the client is supposed to send back an acknowledgement or a reset or something actionable like that, and it's important because the server has now allocated memory space for this TCP connection. Well, in the SYN flood, there's no response, there's no acknowledgement, no reset sent. So that server keeps piling on memory for connections that don't happen. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up an IP tables rule here. And this is for pen testing. We're gonna do this an illustration of just how this works. This isn't to be used for anything malicious. Use it to test your own systems. But what this IP tables rule is going to do is going to make sure that nothing is sent back to the client after it sends a SYN ACK. Okay. So IP tables list. Okay, we have our rule. Blah blah blah. Over here on the left we have a small UI, which is basically a UI for netstat connections, and we're going to watch SYN receive. Okay, because we're going to be receiving these SYNs, and these are TCP connections in the making that don't quite happen because the client isn't going to cooperate. And this UI is for the victim server. And then we also have TCP dump we're going to run. Okay, so let's do this. hping is how we're going to send SYN. So we have a S is a SYN flag, I is for interval, count is 100, we're going to send 100, and then port and then destination IP. Okay, so let's watch SYN receive. Go up 5, 11. Now it's going to keep going up. Now let's look at TCP dump on the victim server. We have a ton of SYN ACKs coming out. And what happens is when the victim server sends out its initial SYN ACK, it's going to send more. It's going to send 3 more because it expects some kind of response. And then eventually it will figure out that it's not going to get response, but in the meantime it's allocated memory. So we have 27 SYN receive. Okay, that's a SYN flood in a nutshell, and imagine this on a massive scale, and that's a DDoS attack of SYN floods.